Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopidhanava Girivaradari Jaya Gopidhanava Girivaradari Yasodhanana Brajananjana Yasodhanana Brajananjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjam Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare-rama, Hare-rama, Rama-rama, Hare-hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yogi ki jai, Ananta Koji Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 16, the Payovrata Process of Worship, Text 23. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Adisatvam dvijasrista vidim tat upadavanam asutusyati me deva Siddhantya saha putrakai Adisatvam dvijashrista Vidim tat upadavanam Asutusyati medeva Siddhantya saha putrakai Adisatvam dvijasrista Vidim tadupadavanam Asutusyati medeva Siddhantya saha putraka. Ladies, Nitai, pills, water also, bottle. Adisha, just instruct me. Tvam, O my husband. Dvijasrista, O best of the Brahmanas. Vidim, the regulative principles. Tat, the Lord. Upadhavanam, the process of worshipping. Ashu, very soon. Tusyati, become satisfied. Me, unto me. Deva, the Lord. Siddhantya, now lamenting. Saha, with. Putrakai, all my sons, the demigods. Translation. O best of the Brahmanas, kindly instruct me in the perfect method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service, by which the Lord may very soon be pleased with me and save me, along with my sons, from this most dangerous situation. Purport. Sometimes less intelligent men ask whether one has to approach a guru to be instructed in devotional service or spiritual advancement. The answer is given here. Indeed, not only here but also in Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna accepted Krishna as his guru. Sisyasteham sadimam tam prapanam. The Vedas also instruct tadvigyanatam na gurun eva bhikachet. One must accept a guru for proper direction if one is seriously inclined towards advancement in spiritual life. The Lord says that one must worship the Acharya, who is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Archaryamam vidaniyat. One should definitely understand this. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that the Guru is the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, according to all the evidence given by the Shastra and by the practical behavior of devotees, one must accept the Guru. Aditi accepted her husband as her Guru, so that he would direct her now to advance in spiritual consciousness, devotional service, by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Ginandana Salakaya Shakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Pada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visamanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatirubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The three modes of material nature are indicated by the word guna, and sometimes that word guna is translated as qualities, and other times it is translated as ropes. And when we are looking at the meaning of guna as rope, we're looking at the living being who is bound up by the three modes of material nature in the material world. Srila Prabhupada pointed out that one who is bound up cannot free himself, but rather needs to be freed by someone who is free, by a liberated person. And that is the point. That we are dependent on the mercy of the superior Vaishnava. Why accept a guru is a question. Is it necessary? Can we not just simply take transcendental knowledge from Krishna and apply it in our life? So no, we can see. Srila Prabhupada stated that, he said that actually these purports are more important than the verses. So it doesn't sound so humble in a sense, if you. But the truth of the matter is that without the purports, how would we get the full depth of the verses? We would get some. We would extract some meaning from what we would be reading in the verses, but not the same depth that we are getting by the Vaishnavas. We also see the example of Maharaj Pariksit. And Maharaj Pariksit, he is inquiring from Sukadev Goswami. And as he is inquiring, he is asking about things like the creation. Now, do you think that Maharaj Pariksit was an uneducated fool? He is the emperor, grew up in a royal family. You think he didn't have a teacher? You think he didn't go to school? You think he didn't learn about the creation? Of course he learned about the creation. He knew everything about the creation. He could have given a lecture himself about the creation. Right? However, why was he asking? Right? And it is said he was asking for the sake of strictness, just to see if any misconceptions had developed. And he was asking because the self-realized soul might explain a whole different dimension of that same understanding. So in this way, one always remains a fool before the spiritual master. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I am just a fool. Prabhupada said, that's very good, because then I can instruct you. Right? But when you start to think that you are very intelligent, he said, then it will become difficult. It will become difficult. Warning him also, because it's easy to say, I am a fool, but more difficult to really believe it in the heart and be ready to just go before the spiritual master and take instructions. It's dangerous because no one in our life has ever had the power that the Guru has. Not your parents. I mean, even as a child, every child goes through the no phase, right? It's just no to everything. No. That's what children discover very quick, that you can do this. No. Right? What to speak of adults, right? So once we've invented the word no, then it stays with us throughout our life, and we don't just accept, but whatever the spiritual master says, third offense, to disobey his order. One cannot say no. Therefore, it's dangerous to go before the spiritual master. So the best thing is avoid him. and in front of him, just smile. And when he says, "How are you?" say, "Fine." And leave it at that, you know. When he comes, don't get too close. Yes, this would be the comfortable material position, but it may not really produce the desired effect. So, yes, one is meant to take shelter of the spiritual master and to tatviri panipatena pariprasnena sevya, to inquire from the spiritual master, and not just some superficial questions, but questions that deal with with prakriti sthani karsati, with the struggle for material existence which we are facing. We are all overwhelmed by the material energy. And so if we approach the spiritual master and honestly reveal our position, then we get the best guidance. Of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the verse Tesam evanukam partam aham igyanajam agjanajam tamaha nasiyami atmabhavastu. It said nasiyami atmabhavastu, which means that Krishna is residing within the heart or within the consciousness, and Krishna knows everything. So it says, therefore, if we are not taking advantage of the instruction of the spiritual master, then Krishna may make an arrangement. He may make an arrangement for us to come to our senses. That is the situation. What to do? Although this process of devotional service is a relatively simple process, the process of just engaging one's senses, one's knowledge-gaining senses, one's working senses in the service of the Lord, that's all that's required. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchate. But somehow or other, it's not that simple, because we wind up with excuse me, drink a little more water. We wind up with internal conflict. That's inevitable. There has to be internal conflict. The hridaya durbalyam, the weakness of heart is there, and that is the situation. And yes, we are influenced by material things. Puja pratista kutinati, it is said, a desire to be worshipped, a desire for recognition, a desire. We tend to pretend kutinati because we have a business mentality. A business mentality is we're looking for our advantage. So we're calculating in every situation. Always calculating, how am I getting my advantage? And this is very strong. And we very carefully, also in devotional service, try to position ourselves in a situation where everything is meeting a double goal, our material desires fulfilled in service and Krishna's desires fulfilled. That's the difficult thing. Why is devotional service so difficult? Because it's difficult to bring these two together. That creates a huge person. I'm not properly engaged. I'm not happy in this place. I am not feeling properly situated because I cannot bring these two together. Serving Krishna and serving my own desires. It is impossible. It's a big problem. This is the situation, actually. And that is why it is so hard. Otherwise, does it really matter? Any service? Does it, from a spiritual point of view, any service is fine. Raghunadas Goswami says, I will simply take the position of dasya, simply take the position of humble servant. Only when I'm called by the Vaishnavas to do anything else, then I'll do anything else. Otherwise, I'll just be the humble servant. That's it. So, that is something, something extraordinary. Anyhow, because it is so difficult, Varna Ashram is also brought in so that there is a possibility to engage our nature. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi jakta phalam manisina, somehow or other, to connect our activities, to connect our work with Krishna. And that is actually, for most of us, the case. That's what we do. Dovetailing propensities. However, gradually it changes. Gradually we become attached to Krishna. It is said at first one is attached to the service. Later one is attached to Krishna. So as long as one is attached to the service, then it's a particular service. I like this service, I don't like that service. But when we become attached to Krishna, then, all right, whatever Krishna desires, swarga apavarga narakesu apitulyartha darshinaha, whether in preaching in the heavenly planets or whether preaching in hell, always in a equipoised state of mind. Otherwise, it's intense. They took me in the Sankirtan van and dropped me off in a factory area, and I walked past this place, and there was a fence around the factory, and there was a chicken that was trying to get in. I just saw, what is this chicken doing here? I walked in, it was a place where they were slaughtering chickens. Yeah. Okay, I had some interaction with the man there while he was in action, and he took something and so on, and then so I wasn't sure if I was going to take the money because there's blood on the money. Kind of like, I need rubber gloves and a plastic bag here. And then when I came out, I saw that chicken was still trying to get in, and I told it, "Run, chicken, run!" Yeah, what to do? So it turned out that they had sent me into an area with slaughterhouses, and I did 1 month. I did slaughterhouses. That was really intense months. Then at the end, I went to the Sankirtan leader and I said, Prabhu, maybe this time you could give me a little better area, He says, "What's wrong with it? It's got to be done." Okay, thanks. And he didn't give me a good area. He gave me pensioners who had no money. He said, "Yes, I'll give you a donation." 5 cents. Oh, God. Hare Krishna. Anyhow, but so this Swarga Apavarga Narakesu Abitulyata Darshinaha, it's not always, it reads nice when it's in the Bhagavatam, but it's not so easy when it's in our everyday life, in our own personal life. Now, we understand this from each other. We understand. It's like, for me, right now, this is about as cold as it goes here. Right? Any colder, forget it. Kadambakara Swami, not going out. Right? Just it stops at this. This is the point where I can still go out, but anywhere beyond this, I said, forget it. Yeah, I don't think I'm meant to preach in Antarctica. Right? See, I don't think it's my program. Hot is better. Yeah. So what to do? It's not so simple to be anyabilasita sunyam, to be totally unalloyed and to say anything, whatever you desire, except Antarctica. Yeah. It's like it's in the end it becomes a contract, like, okay, yes, dear Guru Maharaj, whatever you say, except. And there comes the 23 pages, in small letters with the whole list of all the exceptions. This is the difficulty. Anyway, of course, the self-realized souls, they're aware of this, and they know how difficult it is. And although they see the desires of conditioned souls like the desires of children, right, as unimportant, still, just as an adult will take the desires of children as important, right? You have to give it importance. In the same way, the self-realized souls will give importance to our material conditioning and provide for it. And so there's a gradual process of making advancement. And this is Varnashram. Varnashram is helping us to make that gradual step-by-step process. Dentist. Yes, so what to do? Intense. So Aditi is very surrendered. Aditi is pious by nature. Aditi, it wants to be instructed. She's asking for the perfect method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service. And she wants to do it properly. But in the end, she's saying that the Lord may very soon be pleased with me and save me, along with my sons, from this most dangerous condition. So the demigods, they have great devotion, and yet they have also some personal desire. So indeed, they combine these two: their desire to please the Lord, and their personal desire. this morning I was listening to the Chaitanya Bhagavat and to the chapter where Jagai and Madai are being delivered from all their sinful activities. And it said there was such a huge quantity of sinful activities and reactions. And Chitragupta, who's in charge of keeping the records, and his assistants, they were exhausted. They didn't know where to keep all these records. The messengers, they were constantly running up and down with new information about new sins. They needed a special storage for it all. And then when Jagai and Madai became involved with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then all these sinful activities were written off. And Yamaraj, right? Yamaraj, who is a great devotee, and Yamaraj, who is a great devotee and who spends all his time dealing with sinful souls. Can you imagine what a service he has? Right? Okay, here we go again. All right, here's the list. Yeah, okay, how we're going to deal with this. So he has to deal with all that while he himself is a great devotee. So Yamaraj, when he saw that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda had delivered Jagai and Madai from all these endless sinful reactions, Yamaraj became so overwhelmed by ecstatic symptoms that he fell unconscious in his chariot, it is described. And then it is described how all the demigods became ecstatic and Lord Shiva started dancing and he lost his clothes in the process. He was so ecstatic, he never realized it. It said like all the demigods were dancing. I mean, Indra was just like in ecstasy with love of God. Right? So on the one hand, we see Indra has love of God, but on the other hand, we also read sometimes that Indra is acting a little bit out of the, out of order. Like at the time of Govardhan, he just wanted to destroy the residents of Vrindavan. My dear Indra, you are supposed to be my devotee, right? So why you want to kill, the residents of Vrindavan? That was Krishna's question to Indra. So it's interesting how the devatas, how the demigods have this dual, these two desires, fulfilling the desire of Krishna and fulfilling the personal desire. And we have to rise above this. So that is not so easy. Therefore, even when we understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, we still have to practice acting in fulfilling the order of our spiritual master. Because the spiritual master, he will direct us in a way that is according to his desire. And in this way, we will overcome our personal desires, so that we can become anyabhilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anakulyena krishna shilanam bhakti uttama, that we can become completely free from any other desire. That is, that's an underlying theme in this chapter. It will almost come back in every lecture, right? Because this is the great difference between the situation of the demigods and the situation of the followers of Lord Chaitanya. But the other great difference is the piety of the demigods and the impiety of the followers of Lord Chaitanya. The good habits of the demigods and the bad habits of the followers of Lord Chaitanya. The Jagais and Madais, which have to give it up and still need some purification. So Jagai and Madai were instructed to make a bathing ghat. and to wash the feet of all the Vaishnavas who would come to bathe in the Ganga, all the pilgrims who would come to bathe in the Ganga. So that is it. Nirantar Krishna Nama Sankirtan and Vaishnav Sevana. Somehow or other, let us always chant Hare Krishna and serve the Vaishnavas. And to serve the Vaishnavas is not simple. We have to become very soft, like chapati dough. Right? Yes, it's like to be like chapati dough. That means let the Vaishnavas give us a shape as they desire. What do you desire? All right, So we see this amongst the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, that they adjust according to the desire of the Vaishnavas. And so Vaishnava relationships are not just the same as mundane relationships, but Vaishnava relationships are where we take the interaction between devotees, we give it much more weight than in the material world. In the material world, say, well, the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, who does he think he is? Yeah. Does he think he, we think we know, but in spiritual relationship, yes, when a Vaishnava desires, then that's to be taken serious. So we adjust. So the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya is in this way unique and a little different from what is described here in this chapter. Any questions? Any comments? Ananta.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you very much for your class. Regarding this point, that we should be shaped by Vaishnava's desires, like a dough. When we are in association of devotees, once per week or once per month, or not on a daily basis, we have, how to say, we can go with that principle. But when we are sometimes on a daily basis with devotees, how to maintain this mood constantly? We can see that we don't like to be shaped by devotees every day. How can we maintain this spirit, this mood constantly?
Yeah, it's very challenging. A community of devotees. I guess that those who are the most advanced have to give the example to inspire the others. I think only then will it work. So I think if the leaders are showing this mood, then it will filter down. But if the leaders are not ready to show this mood, although they may be advanced, but they're not displaying this, I think then the general devotees will not follow it. I think the onus is on the leaders to bring out this whole culture, bring out this whole spirit of yes, as the Vaishnavas desire. Now you get all kinds of complexities, you get contradictory desires. One Vaishnava says go left, other Vaishnava says go right. Now what do we do? Like cut myself in half. Right? So then there's also seniority involved or a relationship involved. Right? For example, one time the GBC had a meeting and they wanted me to be the GBC for France, right? I said well, I'll ask my spiritual master. I went to my spiritual master and he said, what would you do that for? And that was the end of that. So what can we say? We have different relationships with the Vaishnavas. Our spiritual master, his authority is above all. Then we, of course, on a managerial level, we also have GBC, parallel lines of authority and so on, but that's just management. Spiritually, the scripture establishes the spiritual master as the ultimate authority in our life. And the management is not meant to interfere in that relationship unless it's not functioning properly. Just like parents and their children, that's the relationship. The government doesn't interfere unless there's something inappropriate going on. So the spiritual master is our first and foremost authority, and second of all, then we get other authorities. But unless the authority has the faith of the followers, what authority does the authority really have? Right? You can have, stars, stripes, and shoulder pads, and but everything. But it doesn't work. You can have a 12-string Brahmin thread. That's very nice, but. So it's a great challenge of the seniors to inspire the juniors, and they need to have their faith, right? To generate faith. Therefore, our actions and our words should generate faith. Only then will it happen, I think. What do you think? Anybody else? Yes. You are first, yeah? I saw you first, because...
Hare Krishna.
No, you are first.
Hare Krishna. I would like to ask if you could compare the dialogue and instruction. We see in this Srimad Bhagavatam text there is an instruction, and I read some books by Srila Prabhupada where there are many dialogues. I wonder if Prabhupada could give also instruction through the dialogue.
Yes.
And because I don't know, maybe with the instructions the emotion is deeper.
Yeah.
And for children, when I was 6 years old, I received some instruction, and it was easier. But then growing, it was a little bit different. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada, he wrote his books, right? And in his books, he was giving instructions And Srila Prabhupada said that his books, he repeatedly said, these books are the law books for mankind for the next 10,000 years. So when he was writing his books, he was obviously very seriously writing. He knew that whatever I'm writing here is setting a standard. So it has to be very carefully written, that it is correct and cannot be misunderstood also. It has to be written. Not only write the correct thing, but write the correct thing in a way that it's not misunderstood. So Prabhupada tried to make it very, very clear and establish the standards. Then Prabhupada also gives personal instructions and many of these instructions are recorded. We have letters of Srila Prabhupada, we have lectures of Srila Prabhupada, and we have conversations of Srila Prabhupada. It's all recorded and we have so much of it, right? And all that's there. And all kinds of instructions are there. Now, in a conversation, when an instruction is given, it's a little difficult to know sometimes. Sometimes it's really clear, it's an instruction that is the same as in the books. It's clearly a general instruction. But sometimes there's a special instruction, a little different. And you go, now is this also a general instruction, or is this maybe just an instruction for one particular individual? Right? Yes. So, like that, in conversation or dialogue, the instructions may sometimes be according to time, place, and circumstance for a particular person or a group of people. And so therefore, the books are the basis. And Prabhupada said, everything is in my books. And it's one of his final statements, is where he said, everything is in my books. So if something is not in the books and it comes up somewhere in apparently some conversation, then the weight of the books is very important. One issue came up is that Srila Prabhupada, in his final days, was not well, and there were many devotees to be initiated, and Prabhupada couldn't physically manage it. So Prabhupada finally discussed that some devotees could initiate on his behalf, right? And it was called Ritvik, right? Then he wrote a letter on the 9th of July, and it started with henceforth, right? Henceforth, these and these personalities can conduct initiations in my name, and they will duly be accepted as my disciples, and and entered. So then some people said, well, henceforth, dictionary. So now, many years later, people said, henceforth, dictionary. It says, henceforth means forever after. Henceforth, therefore, forever after. This is how initiations should be conducted. And we got a whole Ritvik theory and philosophy and all that. And, and it's very nice because then you can be Prabhupada's disciple. Great for you. Even after he's left his body, there's only one problem. You can't talk to him. You cannot go to him and say, Guru Maharaj, could you please... No, because he's not physically present. So that's a complication. So it leaves the initiates a bit out in the cold. Okay. But anyway, it created like a whole philosophical storm, this. So this is just an example of what happens when you start to give a lot of importance to some conversation or to a word. They took a word, henceforth. Now, of course, henceforth doesn't necessarily mean forever after. It also means from now on. And it can also be for a limited period of time. But these people, they took it like, no, this means henceforth, means forever after. Whereas Prabhupada meant for the time being, for now, for this situation. And then, after I leave my body, then the standard procedure will be followed, which he's outlined many times in his books, right? That after the spiritual master departs, then, the disciples initiate, and this way the disciplic session continues. And that's the standard process he explains in his books. So you see how the tension could develop between the books and the conversation. So we should, when the conversation seems to introduce something that's not in the books, then there is something we cannot just take it. Now we have a special instruction here, and this is to be taken as more important than the books because he said it. Like, no. Prabhupada clearly said, everything is in my books. You see? So, like this, the books have special importance, but the instructions also. But we may not always understand them properly. So the combination of two, the personal instruction together with the books, that's the best. And then with the sadhus, because if it's just us, I have here instruction on my computer, I checked it out, instruction Prabhupada, I have here the books, and yes, I've understood it, and now I know the truth, and now I will hit everyone over the head that I see. Boom, 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 I know. Blah, 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 blah. On the internet. Blah. I got a big, on Facebook. This is unfortunate. We have to hear also from the senior Vaishnavas. So the senior Vaishnavas will also help us to put everything in proper perspective, like that. We are not alone. It's not, I'm alone with these books, and I'm alone with these conversations, and alone with my computer, and now I have to find the truth. No, they're also the senior Vaishnavas. What did Prabhupada really mean? No.
Can I say in...
No? Yeah, like that.
Like
yeah.
This dialogue also with the guru in person is more interactive, and the instruction, then I guess you cannot, be interactive with this, with the instruction if you receive the instruction.
Yes. So the guru, he hears like, oh, you had COVID, oh, you don't have to go to Mangalarti. So what did Guru just say? I don't have to go to Mangalarti. He says, no, you don't have to go to Mangalarti. You can stay home. Yes, like that. Yeah, you get a personal instruction adjusted to the circumstance. Although the normal standard is go to Mangalarti, but under the special circumstances, no need to go. So it's very important to have that guru because he can make the personal adjustment that we need. Only one.
Yes, Maharaj,
so
only
you have
one.
to ask the best.
Well, actually, it's not a question so much as a recollection, as Your Holiness was answering Ananta Prabhu about, leadership. I was remembering His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's 2 books, Leadership for a Higher Consciousness 1 and 2, in which a beautiful explanation is given about the various aspects of leadership. Yes. Yeah. The servant leader and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So just a comment. Thank you.
No, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj did a lot of good thinking there. And I think we need a lot more sharing of thoughts on this matter. Right? Because really, if this movement has to go on simply by resolutions and by texts and so on, it's difficult. It's going to take inspiring leadership to make the move, make people want to give their life. So it's challenging how to be a leader, how to be. So the discussion goes on, and should go on. And soon we'll get the changing of the guards. It's saying is the Prabhupada disciple generation is getting old. So we'll get a unique time that the movement will go into the hands of those who did not meet Prabhupada in person. And that certainly is a challenge. So we need good discussion on leadership. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai.
Thank you.